Welcome back, Portugal Junkies!
Hello!
We have had such a good week. We've gotten so many questions from people.
We have.
I can't imagine why you guys are asking questions about moving out of the United States.
Bizarre. Quite strange.
Well, I'll tell you, I actually got questions. We've become part of someone's gym routine this week.
Routine?
Yes.
I did not know about this.
I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name, so don't be mad.
Oh, cool.
But he has messaged twice responses about the podcast he is listening to while he's at the gym.
That's kind of fun. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
We've gotten questions about leases. We've gotten questions about dogs and the visa process and the emotional journey and all the things this week. And it has really given me life. So in this really hard time, I'm really thankful. So thank you guys, because I feel like we are building community with people who get us, number one, but also may have this journey in mind for themselves, which also gives you so much more in common as well. It's just been really, really great. So I've been very excited to field some of those questions, and we've got some calls coming up with people in the next couple of weeks.
We've got somebody now wanting to do itinerary.
Yep, itineraries for scouting trips or just traveling.
Just general. So it's extremely exciting.
And we're very thankful to you guys for listening and following along and, reaching out when you have questions or comments or anything. Even if they're not, even if it's not, that we don't always agree. The whole point of this is to
create conversation.
Yeah.
And, I think in a way as well, it's for us to download our life.
No kidding. It's maybe our therapy.
I think as an English person, I'm going to say, therapy isn't really high up there on as what you do as an Englishman. But I do for sure, because I need it.
Everybody needs it.
Everybody needs it, but I definitely need it.
What's up with the English and therapy?
I don't know. Stiff upper lip.
No, really. Let's talk about it for a minute. What does that mean? You're saying stiff upper lip, but what does that really mean?
You just get on with it. You sort of, whatever you're going through, you sort of pack up, put it in a bag, stick it over in the corner.
Which is not very healthy.
And kind of ignore it until
it blows up in your face.
It becomes so big that,
So I've proven my point.
No, but I'm not disagreeing. I'll be the first person to stick my hand up and say, I love it.
I love it too. I love it too.
So, and I think it comes in different formats, different ways, with different people.
At different times of your life. Yeah. Some people need to be in constant therapy. Some people need it for, certain periods of time.
Things, and it's a very real need.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that was a tangent. What we're going to do today...
Oh, that was a tangent. We never do that.
I know. We're so...
Always on point. Not.
We literally hit the play button sometimes and we're like, or the record button sometimes, we're like, okay, go.
And
what comes
action.
out?
Blah.
Hopefully that's very authentic though. So.
Well, yeah.
So today we're going to do what you guys love. Y'all love our FAQ episodes.
I love FAQs.
We feel like it's time to do one, especially post, election. I'm not even going to get negative. Next, we're just going to move on.
We're going to move on.
Okay. So we've got a couple of questions from people. This is in addition. So I will say this: we get a lot of questions about where to move in Portugal.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, it's really hard to answer that question. And some of them will even say, we got an email the other day or a message from someone the other day that was like, I'm trying to decide between Porto Braga and Silves. Silves is down here with us in the Algarve. Porto and Braga are up north. Three very different places. And I'm just trying to give you guys an example of questions that we get all the time that are just really hard to...
It is. It's such a difficult answer to do.
Because it's always going to say it depends.
Of course.
Right? And so we do have an episode out here, if that is on your mind and you've just joined us and you're just exploring the idea of moving to Portugal. We do have an episode near the beginning of our kind of portfolio where we talked about where to live in Portugal.
Portfolio.
It's not even really,
that
the wrong word.
Very posh.
It's the wrong word for podcast. Library. Podcast library.
Okay.
But it's one of the first ones that we recorded. I would say within the first 10.
Okay.
And so we do give a little bit more background on that and kind of have an entire episode discussing the different regions of Porto, what is different from region to region, thinking about the questions that you might want to ask yourself in order to help you determine where you might want to live in Portugal. So that's just my disclaimer on that question, because I think a lot of people, it's their first, the first inclination is like, where the hell am I going to go once I get there?
Where am I going to stick my feet?
And a lot of people ask this question, and we had a little discussion about it today as we were trying to wake up and drink our coffee, the first coffee. And, sometimes people will say, where should I live in Portugal where all the other expats live?
Yeah.
And so this one's a big challenge for me because I'm kind of a teacher at heart, and I don't mean to say it in a way that makes me sound like I know everything by any means, but it's one of those things where it's like when someone asks a question like that, I want to make them think deeper about what they just said.
Right.
With no judgment, because I get there's different reasons why people come over here. And there's different, comfortabilities that they are, whatever level they're at. If they are really terrified and they're trying to do it anyway, and you need to be in the middle of an expat community of Americans who have moved here, then there is no judgment with that.
And you'll find it in certain places.
And you'll find it in certain places. But I will say, from our experience of living in Porto first and really being immersed, and we were just talking about this morning, in the culture there and the true Portuguese foods and music and people that were not, again, there's a lot of expat community in Porto, but we really weren't a part of those.
No.
We kind of forged our own way with that, and we not by design, just how it happened. And I guess I just don't want people to miss out just because you're trying to be comfortable and finding a group of Americans somewhere.
I'd said this, again, at the beginning of some of the podcasts, like the early ones, and that is that you've got to be comfortable being uncomfortable to start with.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly what it's going to be. You're not going to land in a place, no matter where it is, and just, as soon as your feet touch the ground, that's it. I'm done. This is everything.
Friends.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It just, I'm not going to say never, because never say never.
You will have a period of time that's transition.
The opportunity, the chance of that happening, so minimal.
Well, and I know this is another tangent, and I'm sorry because we haven't even gotten to our first question, but
it kind of is.
I do want to make sure that we address that because some people send us that question, and the question I would want you to ask yourself is, is it one of the most important things that I'm finding community with other people who came from the same place as me, or that I am trying to find community with people in general?
Right.
And we wanted that, and we got that, and we're very happy that we've experienced that. And we have a friend who is amazing on TikTok, and she is called Mindful Migrant on there if you want to follow her. She is really inspiring about what it means to be an immigrant and moving here and not wanting to just change it to be a little United States somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that comes with all those comfortabilities that question led to is, I guess, what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is you've really got to drill down into, you're coming from whatever country, in this case, we believe, coming from the US to Portugal. But it's the same no matter what. It's about immigration. It's, you can call yourself an expat, you can call yourself an immigrant, it means the same, but I just think that
we all know why.
The word immigration or immigrant, it has a lesser interpretation. It's
classist.
Lesser class quotes associated with it. That was air quotes, by the way, if you're just listening. And it's not at all the case. I was an immigrant in America. I didn't feel any lower class.
No, but the words we use are important.
Absolutely, they are.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't use the word expat.
Right.
I'm saying that there is a connotation that comes with that.
Yeah.
When you envision what is an expat versus what is an immigrant, I guarantee you most people coming from the U.S. are going to have a very different view of what person that is or what kind of person that is or what color their skin is. I'm sorry, it's true.
It is.
So that's why we try to be mindful about the language that we use, because we are immigrants, and we all will be if you're moving over here.
Yeah.
So anyway, tangent, but that was my soapbox for the day. Let's get to the question.
Well, that was the second soapbox.
I'm on a roll today.
The first one was not aired.
I'm on a roll today. Okay, so we got a question which I really loved. It was something to the effect of, did your relationship with each other change when you moved abroad?
God, yes. In
I love this question.
Positive way.
So this is the kind of stuff I'd love to talk about all day long. The emotional stuff, the journey stuff, that has nothing to do with the visa and nothing to do with anything else. I could do an entire group about this, but what do you think? Do you think that our relationship changed when we moved abroad?
Yes, I think. I mean, we have a strong relationship anyway back in the US from when we first met, dated, got married, etc., etc. And to actually team up to do what we have done, you have to. Or I find that we grew stronger together because it was a shared journey. I will also say that it makes you very aware of making sure you're listening to the other person just as much, if not more, than you are to yourself. And I say that because the other person is going to do the same back. So you're still going to get an even sort of address of what's going on.
What would you say to someone though that is not like us? Let's just be honest. Like, there's not every couple is going to be 100% on the same page like we were about coming here.
Right.
I will say, though, if you remember, I did have, not hesitations, but I do the what if game a lot, and I probably shouldn't, but I do the what if game because we wanted to come over here and we were thinking through it, and I said to him one day, what if we get there
and one of us doesn't
one of us doesn't love it? Mm-hmm. It's not even just like it. Like, what if one of us just is not in love with where we are, or we're not in love with Portugal in general, or what do we do?
Well, and I think you've got to upfront know that whoever is unhappy, you make that person happy.
That's right.
And that's all that you can do, and that was something that we were very clear with each other on.
Yeah.
And that was that if, for whatever reason, one of us was not feeling it, some shit happened back home, whether it is the UK or the US, we would react to the situation as a team, as a family, to make sure that everybody was heard, listened to, talk it through, and whatever the result is the result, because nothing in life is permanent, really.
Yeah.
And so if you don't put that level of pressure, or if you're open to addressing pitfalls if and when they happen, then
there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, there's absolutely. But I do think that if you're doing this journey or something similar to this, you've got to be strong to start with. I think it would be difficult if you were both one partner wanted to do it absolutely and the other was coming along for the ride.
That would be
to
tough.
See how they felt about it. That would be a hard one. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's people out there that listen that have done that, and that works for them.
I just think the situation in that scenario is that you're taking more of a risk, which could work out lovely, right? Yeah. But it could also not be great for that person who is kind of coming along and kind of going along with it.
Yeah, going for the ride.
Instead of being excited about it together, that's a whole different dynamic. I mean, I do say the thing that you brought up about, making sure that you're talking these things through with your family and your partner.
Yeah.
And really, it's more about the what if game, talking that through. So that you know that, like, if one of us doesn't like, I mean, we literally said, if one of us doesn't like it, then the other has to get over it.
Yeah.
And take care of the person who's not happy,
right.
Basically. We have to change what we're doing or change where we are until we are both thrilled with where we are.
Yeah.
And
that's called Tavira, by the way.
It is. It is. It's called Tavira, Portugal. But it sounds very simple, but I think that there has to be some sort of agreement. Whatever that agreement is for you, in the what if game.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah. And I think ultimately it changes for different people with different lifestyles, in as much as you're coming over with kids, you're coming over, as a larger family, it's again, come back to that phrase, horses for courses. So many things are so individual.
Yeah.
That you just have to accept that that's what it is. But if you're working together as a family, as a unit, there ain't nothing that you can't fix.
It's so true. If you've got your priorities right.
Yeah.
Which will always be you and me to each other, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
That sounds pie in the sky, but it's because we have a strong connection and relationship and we communicate well. Yeah. We know that that's not the same for everybody. So I guess my first inclination is to say, play the what if game.
Yeah.
And have a discussion about what would happen.
Map it out. What if this happens?
What can we agree to?
The answer would be...
That's right.
X or Y.
Because then, at least then, you know that if it does happen once you moved here, you've had that conversation and you can honestly be steadfast in what you said you were going to do, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And anyway, I find that it is very interesting to think about situations that were not like ours and make sure we're considering that as we're talking, because our experience is our own and we've had a really good experience here because of each other and because of the support of our family and friends. Not one person has said to me, "What the hell are you doing?" Not one person.
More people have now
said... They might have thought it.
Yeah, just not said it. But more people have said, "Don't you dare come back."
Oh my gosh. Since November 6th,
yeah.
I've had a lot of people say that to me. "Don't you dare come home."
I'm going to be real pissed with you.
So, anyway, I feel like that's a practical tool if you've got that kind of idea out there and you're not feeling as we were describing ourselves and more on the other side of like, I'm dragging somebody with me or my partner's not sure or whatever. Just make sure you're having those conversations, because I think that saves you a lot of heartache in the end, right? You can still decide to come.
Yeah.
And then you know that there's an agreement in place of like, if I hate this, what are we going to do? Or if you hate this, what are we going to do?
Right. And again, some of that will come down to where you're going to be.
Yeah.
In terms of location.
Yes.
Because some areas of Portugal can make you feel quite sad. And some areas can make you feel very happy.
Right.
So I think there's so many things that have a place in the overall result of your experience for day one through year whatever.
Speaking of, we're coming up on our year.
We
should do a podcast specifically on that day. Maybe do a bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2.
But can we have champagne with that and French fries?
Sure, champagne, French fries, and podcasting.
There you go. It's a thing. It's a thing.
It's a thing. How do you manage and continue to grow your relationships back home? For us, home is the United States and the UK, because Mark still has family and friends there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have family, I don't have friends. No, that's not true.
I think that my easiest answer to this is the thing that also gives me like so much annoyance, and it's socials. It's social media. It's specifically Marco Polo. I literally have multiple Marco Polo groups going at any time on a daily basis of different groups of friends.
Yes, you do.
To the point where I can sometimes tell you what my friend Ryan had for breakfast that morning. You know, it's like we are trying to use that tool, and we have since COVID, I think. I feel like that's when it started was COVID. So I have one with my sisters. I have one with my best friends from college. I have one with my other set of friends from college at UNC. I have one for, I don't know, it just keeps going.
Is what you're saying.
So there's good and bad to this. I do know what they had for breakfast most of the time. Or B, it can be very daunting because there's pressure of, you know, staying in touch with almost daily with a lot of these groups. And that can be really hard. And then when I'm not in there as regularly, I feel guilty. So, but it is our tool.
Yeah.
It is our tool. And yours is Zoom.
And again, yeah, from COVID times when, you know, being across an ocean, and even everybody back in the UK, you know, when you weren't allowed to travel and lockdowns and all that sort of stuff, we used Zoom. And I can't remember who it was, it might have been my Auntie Jean, started off this Zoom with the family. You get on at 7 o'clock on a Sunday, glass of wine, bottle of beer, whatever it is, cup of tea.
Just hang out.
And just hang out, chat, and all the rest of it. And that started out of necessity for keeping in touch and making sure, you know, checking in on people. Because it's easy to get sort of withdrawn into yourself, especially around COVID time. You know, so that was used as a tool to keep everybody updated on how everybody was doing. And we still do it to this day. Even like on today, being a Sunday, 7 o'clock tonight, it will happen again. And I think it's such a lovely way of harnessing friendships and family and keeping up to date with that, because, you know, even if we lived in the UK, it's not like we would see everybody every day and all the rest of it. So this is another good tool that we've used.
I think my challenge with this, when I think about this question, is I automatically go to the opposite, which is what could I do better? Because it's so important to me, and this is the number one hard thing about moving here. And when I say it's pretty much the only one. It's hard about moving here because everything else has been lovely. Mm-hmm. But I miss family, and I miss friends, and I miss proximity. I miss the knowing that if a tragedy happened, it didn't matter. I was 4 hours drive from anybody. Like it did, you know what I'm saying? That is just gone. You know, I'm not saying it wouldn't ever happen, that I wouldn't be able to get back for those situations, but it's certainly not going to be in a 4 hour period.
It's not as convenient.
So for me, I'm always thinking like, and it's just pressure on myself, and I know that I should give myself some grace sometimes, but what can I do better? How can I get in a routine where it is more regular, and it is, especially with my parents. So I video call all the time, my parents, but the problem with that is that I feel like they don't have the other, or they're not interested in the other pieces of technology that I've been using for other groups. Mm-hmm. So I kind of have this outlier of my parents who only video call, right? They don't typically Zoom. I mean, we've done it every once in a while, but it's not like normal for them, right? And so I struggle because I feel like I'm using the technology that they're cool with, but not necessarily the best tool that would keep us more
connected. So
that has been a challenge. But it is what it is, and I'm happy to have what I have, because think back to before we even had video calling. Like, it just would seem a little bit less personal, or like they can't see your apartment, they can't see where you are in your face, that kind of thing. And I'm very grateful for technology, and you know,
I think that's something that just has to be used as much as possible. Across an ocean or across, you know, whatever it is. Because
the technology is here if you want to use it, and it's up to you to
it may not be perfect, but by far and away better than nothing.
Oh, it's better. Yeah, it's actually kind of amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the time change here is hard for me too, and it would be harder for even people on the west coast of the U.S. too. Just because, like, I still haven't gotten used to that. Like, when I think about, I'll call home or something, you know, we're early to bedders.
4 a.m.
We're early to bedders, right? Like, I think about it in the morning, and they're not even up yet, you know, and so then I'm like, I'll call them in the afternoon. It's like, it just keeps... I've got to figure out a time where it's like, this makes sense every time.
Yeah.
7 o'clock at night or something, it's
Well, that's why
2 o'clock there or something.
That's why we do a weekly Zoom
Yeah.
at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, because chances are everybody's still awake. And
Yeah, but you're all in the same time zone.
Yeah, but not when we were living back in the States.
That's true, you were 2:30. It was like 2:30.
So there was different formats there. But, you know,
Yes.
it's just a way that works.
Yeah.
Can attest that.
All right, third and last question. Here we go. Ooh, this is a good one. We were talking about how our year anniversary is coming up, December 1st. I think this is going to post then, somewhere in there. Do you have any regrets a year later?
No.
Well, that was fast.
No.
Okay, and now we're done.
Okay, bye.
See you later.
Don't forget to follow us. No, I don't. I think, without trying to, I don't know, go ways around a rabbit hole, but I just think that there are so many opportunities if you let yourself, if you're able to explore. If that's what you want to do, then go and do it. And if it's not, then it's not. But I don't regret moving around, moving from the UK to the States, moving from the States to here, because every single time there's a move, particularly with you now, it's been because of an adventure. It's because we want to do something that's a little bit different, perhaps. You know, there's not many people that we know in Tavira, particularly, that are our age in our situation. There's a lot more people that are maybe 10, 15 years older than us. So that has its own challenges in itself in some cases, but there's not one thing that I've regretted about moving from the States to here. There are some things back in the States that I miss.
Yes, those are different.
But that's not a regret.
No. It's just like, there's a big difference between having a regret and making mistakes. Because we have made mistakes in the past year here.
Go back to most episodes and we'll tell you.
True, at the very beginning, I mean, we've literally like laid all of our mistakes out there so that you guys won't do the same thing, hopefully, but that's not a regret.
No, that's just
learning. And I really just believe that your perspective on life in general helps you with this whole regret thing. Yeah. And I go back and forth. You know, I don't like to have regrets, but I think sometimes it's really hard to live an entire life of, in my case, 45 years and not have some things that you regret. But you can also have the perspective of, why do I regret those if they have cultivated who I am, created the experiences that make me who I am and make us who we are, and a lived life. Yeah. I mean, a life truly worth living, not just surviving, you know?
Oh, I've done my 9 to 5, now I'm going to go home, have dinner, then go to watch TV, then go to bed, and Groundhog Day, you know? And that's not necessarily to say that doesn't happen here.
It can.
Because it can. But I just think that, you know, to answer the question, I don't have any regrets. I think that there would have been a regret if we hadn't have done this.
Oh, yeah. I often say that, what was the tipping point for us? The tipping point for us when we decided to actually do this was when our fear of regret became bigger than our fear
of buggering it up.
Of doing it.
Yeah.
And once you get to that place where you are, your fear is more about, I'm scared that I'll be disappointed I didn't go, then I'm scared to go, then you're done. You should move. 100%. Or try something new, whatever else you're applying that to.
Whatever it is. But yeah, I don't have any...
I have no regrets either, especially this month.
Right, yeah, we got ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I didn't expect that, but I'm glad that we were ahead of the curve, and now we're trying to help other people who are ready to get over here or move abroad in general.
Or even if you're not sure and you want to, answer questions.
Yeah.
That's why we love doing the FAQs, because it's not us telling our story, it's about helping other people.
Yeah.
Or not helping, but guiding with some answers where it's
our experience.
been our experience.
Yeah.
To help you along, or perhaps see a different perspective.
Yeah.
But
we're celebrating in 1 year. It's pretty exciting. It's been a crazy year.
Flipping amazing.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. So.
Okay, what was the date?
December 1st.
It was December 1st.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We are, again, so thankful, and we will refer you again to our Stand store. We got tons of resources and opportunities there for you guys if you're interested in moving abroad, moving to Portugal, just learning more about everything. Our website is portugaljunkies.com.
Yeah.
All of our stuff is on there as well, including the podcast library. If you were listening, I don't know, even online, you can just listen from our
You don't have to be in the gym.
No, but it's pretty cool.
Very cool.
I mean,
I didn't know that.
cool.
I didn't know that.
Things I forget to tell my husband.
Yeah.
But anyway, we enjoy you so much, and we're enjoying building the community. And thank you so much. And we'll talk to you next time.
Really appreciate listening.
Cheers, y'all.
Take care. Bye.
Listen up, future expats. For more content about our move, the visa process, Portuguese culture and destinations, and tons of support resources for your own decisions and potential move abroad, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Portugal Junkies.
Stay in touch and help us reach more people by subscribing here and following us there.
Cheers, y'all!